Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 3, where today we have to recover from the consequences of my aggression. I'm still not convinced that the aggression was wrong, mind you, but we do have to do some recovery work here. So, the Knights of Origo have
I must keep my holy vow.
14 units there,
I am a lord of
6 more
Bretagne.
units here,
Never.
so roughly one stack worth of military units, plus another lord here.
You dishonor me.
And the only settlement they have is one small settlement with just a dock. So they have no recruitment structures, they have no meaningful, they have no money. Once we start burning them down, we're gonna be able to kick them out of the game really soon. We just have to get there.
All bones on deck.
So, first of all, let's recruit some units. Let's take advantage of our missile focus and get some unit rank 3 Sartosan militia in here. We can also raise dead some if I want.
All set.
If I upgrade this, we can... Yeah, it's probably worth doing. Actually, destroying this building so we can build a ranged unit building in its place probably makes sense, because we're pretty unlikely to want to recruit zombie pirate deckhands when we have access to Sartosan melee units, who are so much better. So let's actually just demolish this building, replace it with its ranged equivalent, the gun building. And then Rifrafa was sacked. Do we want to bother repairing these buildings, or do I think Sir John Tyrweld will just turn around and attack the settlement again? It would be 445, so it'd be like 1100, like 1200-ish gold to do that. There is an army of beastmen now between him and the settlement. He can't just turn around and take the same route back, because the zone of control is in his way. You know what? I'm going to go for it. Let's try to get our settlement back online here. In addition, we have Len Emstel, who probably, at this point, is best used as a combat unit to help us recover. But we don't have to make him a combat unit right away. We can run him out here and have him harass these armies. And then when Pete Wakefield's army marches forth, we can just have Len turn around and join them. So yeah, for the moment, I think what I want to do is just get out here and potentially harass John Tyrweld. We can prevent that army from replenishing any of its damaged units,
I am a lord
which
of Bretagne.
might be worthwhile. It might do a little something. Also worth noting, this army has very little range and no cavalry. So when the time comes, I expect we'll be able to defeat them. It's just a matter of surviving to that point.
Your will.
He's not...
I will not blight my soul.
No, he doesn't nearly have the range necessary to actually attack Sartosa this turn. Okay. I think we're going to be all right. I'm actually really curious what Tyrweld is going to do. He could try to resettle Argalis. They could try to get a little bit more of an economic base going. If he does that, settling an empty settlement costs a lot of population from your army. You know, the people who become the settlers. That'll leave his units very deplenished is the word I was about to say. You know, in poor shape. And then we can have Len prevent them from replenishing. Could be very good. The Blooded Axe tribe has declared war on us. That's kind of annoying. I was hoping... Well, they declared war on the Knights of Origo as well. But they might make me look a little bit foolish here. Okay, well, at least they didn't choose to go after Rifrafa. So the army that was down here sailed up to Lucchini. This person sailed off by themselves, and the other army just disappeared? Where'd those other horses go? I wonder if he's actually waiting around here in ambush mode? Could be. Alright, I'm going to have you Do I want to scout the ruins? No, I'm going to do this. We're going to hinder replenishment on this army that is probably at full health, just for the experience points. Hooray, we did it! And I think this guy's going to remain a map hero in the long run, but we can grab a skill point or two to help do some combat in the early going here.
Orders.
All right, Pete Wakefield's army is looking pretty okay. We can do 3 more pulls from this recruitment pool, and then also we still have a lot of money left over. So we have access to these animated hulks. These are big monster units. Basically bloated corpses with armor that actually fight. You can see their combat stats are not amazing. 28 attack, 24 defense. Makes them very easy to kill, and they're not really that great at hitting either. But with 90 weapon strength, almost all of which is armor piercing, anything that they do hit is really going to feel it. And in particular, they should be really good at just like chunking through infantry. So I think maybe, I guess we can wait until next turn to pull stuff out of the raised dead pool because that's instant. But I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to recruit up to 12 units here. We're going to have a bunch of money in the bank, and we're going to just grab a bunch of units out of the raised dead pool, surge forth, and undo the harm what has been done. Do I want to spend 2,000 gold on this? I am not confident enough that we will hold on to it to go investing any further money, I think. So yeah, let's skip that. Do we want to... We probably want to go ahead and build our recruitment, our gun recruitment structure down here. And let's call that for one more turn. Just rebuilding slowly. These beastmen could actually be a real problem. However, if they're willing to, if they're able to exert some pressure on the Knights of Origo, they may make things easier for us instead of more difficult. Also, am I in fast forward mode? I don't actually want to be in fast forward mode. I want to watch the enemies take their turns. So this is just an army of total garbage Skaven units. Somewhat friendly to us. Probably not a threat to us at the very least. The Cult of Sigmar's down there doing annoying stuff. There are so many dwarves around. Hopefully they won't declare war on us while we're still very, very busy. The Knights of Origo get their turn near the end, right? Okay, I think the Blood Axers went and just annihilated themselves on the defenders at Lucchini. That's wild. Okay, so we still don't know where that main army went. Did they get eaten by the Beastmen? Is that why that Beastmen army was so small? As the dangers of having it in fast forward mode accidentally there was that we didn't see what happened. And now there's just an army that's missing.
Is it time?
All right. Let's grab some stuff. We'll grab the Hulks. We'll grab another unit of these bats carrying gunners. Unit of rifles. Unit of bombs. That's 16 right there. And do we just want to grab some other... And we could certainly pick up just like random zombie pirates. A lot of this force is going to end up getting recycled probably. 16 units is good enough. We can manage what we need to do with 16 units. All right, let's go win a battle.
Reap and sow.
We don't need Len after all. It probably is the case.
Avast and draw your blades.
Okay, we stole a spooky weapon from them. That's something.
This is final plan now.
Pete has claimed that for himself.
Standing by.
And that's going to put these guys in terrible position, and we're just going to keep generating XP here. Don't worry, Len. Someday you'll succeed at a task. Alright, so the garrison here is healthy enough that it should be able to resist an attack by these nerds. So at this point, it's just a question of what we want to spend our money on. This is probably a pretty valuable upgrade, making sure that we can get more gunnery mobs from the city. We have the commandment available again. Let's go ahead and dredge the sea. And yeah, I guess their main army must have been attacked by the beastmen and consumed, and then the beastmen failed against their reinforcements. And now things are basically back under control, more or less. I have no idea what these armies from Clan Scryer are doing down here. Well, they're killing the Knights of Origo for me, at least. That's something. And if they were at war, that means that we will get approval, diplomatic approval with them for having fought those guys as well. So that's good for our long-term position. And it seems like these dwarves are maybe on the back foot. This might be a good time for us to leap to the aid of our ally and just kind of like push through those dwarf settlements. We can worry about the rest of the desert later. It's definitely worth it to have eliminated one of the Bretonnian factions down here, because remember, all of our opponents are getting a bunch of free resources from the difficulty level, and my understanding is that those free resources are, it's just a flat amount. It's not like a percentage bonus. So when this area of desert was controlled by 2 Bretonnian forces, we were up against the resources that could be pulled from the desert plus twice the bonus resources. Now that it's just 1, things are a little bit smoother. All right, RNS is ready to rock again. A new training regimen for your heroes teaches them to veil their intent beneath a sheen of civility. Yeah, that's going to be real easy for Len there. After all, a killer with the manners of a rabbit is the most dangerous kind. So plus 10% success chance on actions. I don't know if I think that makes any goddamn sense at all. We're just going to march forward here. I mean, as much as you can march with no lower half. He's doing all right. Okay, so Pete, my man, my friend, you've done some fantastic work for us. Go take a nap. Where is Aranessa? Wait, is Aranessa not on the list of available replacements? She's not. Hold on a second. She's supposed to be. Can we recruit her as a lord? We can. So yeah, she's supposed to be in that list. Well, we can do this another way. Where we hire her on like this.
The Queen of Time.
She doesn't have any movement. That's a little annoying. We'll wait for her to catch up, I guess.
All bones on deck.
Nah, we'll come back and hand the army off to her like this. Okay. And then, I don't necessarily have to have Pete stop existing. We could just have 2 armies and have Pete like run around and dig for treasure.
Get on!
Let's see if digging at the exact point where the the map indicator is the solution to the thing there. Okay, so we've got the second level of our port available here. This will unlock, hiring some ogre mercenaries and also vampire fleet captain heroes who can cast spells and stuff, but also can sail around the map establishing pirate coves, which is very, very valuable indeed. I think this has got to be like one of the highest priority moves we can make. Sartosa has that ability as well. We'll get it going in both places. Wine production probably is something of a thing we should worry about. We are at 30 approval and rising. Hell yeah, let's get a trade agreement going. I'd really like to get military access from them too, so they don't get touchy about us, moving through their territory, but we can just sail around it. This'll do. And you want this more than I do, so you're gonna pay for it.
Agreed.
Okay, so that'll buffer our income a little bit, and then with the amount of gold that we just wriggled out of them, we can construct the wine building. Plus, it does make it cheaper to build stuff. Everybody works better when they're drunk on blood wine. Presumably. Okay, so we picked up Raise the Masses. This is a good thing. What else do we want? Construction time down for all buildings. I'm really more concerned about like construction cost. That would be lovely. We can recruit heroes at higher levels. That would be fine. Really hard to read some of these tooltips. Okay. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Seascape Artist. It's a bonus that only applies to one army, but it's a pretty serious bonus. And then we'll probably go back and like start upgrading our gunnery crews. So we can talk about this offices system now a little bit. As we pick up more lords and they level up, I believe each of these things has a required rank. We can apply our heroes to this command structure and earn certain kinds of rewards. You can see the Fleet Beastmaster improves your animal type units. Fleet Gunnery Master gives you some bonus stuff for your shooty units. The Fleet Engineer makes your research rate and pirate crew growth better. Fleet Treasurer just brings up the money earned at all ports. Obviously, there's a few of these, like Gunnery Master, Engineer, and Treasurer are all super valuable to have. There's also these more command type offices up here. Fleet Secretary requires rank 8, has a pretty significant amount of a pretty significant impact on your army upkeep, which is the #1 cost that you accrue over the course of the game. The Fleet Enforcement Admiral themselves gains the ability to the Frenzy ability and some physical resistance. And then the Fleet Warrant Admiral gives even more replenishment rate to, well, just their army. Bunch of leadership for your others, though. So that stuff all matters, and we're totally going to put people in those offices as time rolls by. So we have to figure out now, what is our next immediate goal? Do we want to try to pressure these dwarves? Do we want to sail out and get into some pirate fights? Do we want to crush Réponse de Lyonesse? There is definitely a concern that if we sail too far from home while we're still at war with that Bretonnian faction, that they will simply sail up across the bay and wreck all of our shit while we're gone. These dwarves are not at war with us currently, but their opinion of us is cratering quickly. It's gonna happen. We'd like to jump them at a moment of relative weakness, especially when our allies are around. And working together with the Skaven to put this danger to rest could very likely earn us the approval that we need to get like a proper a proper alliance going. Also, we've received a quest to go to war with Clan Engrand. The dwarves are back, and apparently they've got scores to settle with us. Ooh, I'm so scared. All right, so we get a little bit of money, a leadership bonus when fighting dwarves, and some infamy. We just have to be at war with them within the next, like, 5 or 6 turns. Not a big deal. We will totally get that done. So, let's have Aranessa run out to here. We'll do a little bit of mustering on the road. So we can pull in, oops, on Earth. Why did it changed the position of my window? All right, we'll get in some proper rifle units here. This army's very gun heavy. Not so much with the stand and fight troops, but we probably don't have to fight any cavalry armies anytime soon.
Fallen deckhands.
All right, and you are actually just going to go to like exactly where the marker is and dig there.
There be pleasure.
Yep, that totally worked. That shouldn't be how it is. The marker shouldn't go exactly where the treasure is. They should make you have to work for it a little. Okay, so a great hoard of treasure may be received. How great a hoard? 2,000, but also a bunch of infamy. You know, that's something. The deckhands were digging all through the night till their rusty spades clanked against an old chest buried in the dirt. The treasure's been found. And that has unlocked the Curse of the Sea Mist. And we found another treasure map there. The dragon stirs, awaking with fury, but forever trapped in the ash of his own making. Okay. Pretty bummed out. Like, they should make you, you know, have to, like, pay attention to the map and actually figure out the physicality, because there's so many cool little details on the map to make reference to, you know? Instead of just having it be, here's the big fucking arrow, go here. Alright, so if we upgrade this building, we can get the ability to hire in a new gunnery wight, which I definitely would like to be able to do. That's what we're doing with our treasure. And you are just kind of hanging out, I guess. We just want to be like near these dwarves. Zarakzil is not very well defended. If these armies are out fighting, we could probably take Zarakzil. They have 2 more settlements to the north. Of them, Karak Izor is the only one that's actually got any defenses. And I say that just because of the walls. It doesn't have like a big garrison or anything. But they are just running a ton of units out in the field here. Now, I will say these are mostly pretty bad units. Miners are the absolute bottom tier dwarven combat unit. That said, they still have a bunch of health, 80 armor, shields, 29, 27 on their melee stats. Like, they're not terrible. They're certainly a lot better than most armies' worst troop. And they got some dwarf warriors, which are only slightly better. They do, however, have these ghosts. Can be very challenging to fight a ghost. And then Belagar Ironhammer himself is terrifying, for sure. So, Len, I think you're about where you need to be. We can't have him do anything this turn because every hero action costs gold, and I've run us almost exactly out of gold. The new right that we've unlocked allows us to cover all of our regions with Cursed Mist, causing Cursed Mist attrition to everybody except us, and giving the Vanguard deployment ability to almost all of our units, so we can basically just start right up on top of the enemies. I don't know that I think that's actually all that valuable. Part of the modifiers for the difficulty level is that higher difficulties dramatically reduce the amount of attrition damage enemies take. Although I think that's less true now than it used to be. I'm worried that the Sea Mist attrition probably would not accomplish very much. It would be really nice to catch one of their armies out of position. Did that army go into ambush mode there? I think they did. I think they're trying to do a sneaky thing. Even if we know exactly where they are when they're invisible, the fact that we can't see them obviously prevents us from interacting with them in most ways that we would like. That said, it's possible we can get our Mourngul to see through their stealth, maybe. Okay, the Dwarven faction that was south of us has been destroyed. Looks like probably all that territory belongs to, yeah, the Bretonnians now. Wow. Very positive feelings about the followers of Nagash here. We did, in fact, pierce the ambush of Stochel Asgal.
Find treasure!
And Arnessa is at full strength and, in theory, ready to fuck some shit up. Next turn, probably. This turn, we have 2,300 gold. We're just out of range on this upgrade, which we would like to get. Oh, we should definitely just like build a basic money-making building in this city, right? Absolutely. All right.
Corsair of the night.
So what do we do with Pete? Pete is slowly bleeding loyalty, in part because he doesn't have troops assigned to him, I believe. So if we don't have a use for him, we might want to fire him temporarily. And I definitely don't think we have enough money to start running an actual second army. We could have him run out and try to grab like reefs and stuff. However,
Has the crew's respect.
the best results from doing that require you to fight an enemy army for the loot, and we obviously will not be able to do that with just him. So I think I am, in fact, going to just disband his army. Lords will be returned to the recruitment pool. Pete will come get you later, when you are needed.
Fear the pirate queen!
And for the moment, I guess I'm just gonna, what does it cost to switch into ambush mode?
Shipshape.
I need to have at least 25% of my movement left. We'll go to, like, here, then. And I'm not trying particularly hard to hide. I just don't have anything else to do. I guess the thing I could do is I could march mode all the way to Miragliano. Maybe that's a better play.
Going! A new hideout.
Just get inside the walls so that we're
Ready to
not
swordfish.
threatened if they decide to declare war on us. And then their army is actually taking some significant damage from the hostile vampire corruption here. Len, why don't you make sure that that's relatively permanent? Hey, he actually did it. Cool. So for 2 turns, this army replenishes 20% less than usual. We'll just grab this kind of general action success chance up thing.
The queen of tides!
So what else do we want on her? This gives us bonus value for our siege units. Yeah. Ooh, once you have it leveled up, it becomes an infamy income thing. That's interesting. The next big concern I have here is I would like to be able to hire cannons. So I'd like to build a cannonade building. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit of money, unfortunately. We definitely have the population, though. Our army's going to feel a lot more cohesive once we have the really long range guns to sort of bind things together. So for right now, I guess let's just end the turn. If this guy is still this deep in our territory next turn, we will declare war and pounce on him. But for the moment, we're showing the Skaven that we are serious about this friendship by performing aggressive hero actions. And we are going to get some approval from doing so. I hope that they can put together enough force over here to... Oh, gosh. What are you doing? I'm very surprised to see them not going after that Dwarven army. Oh, they planned to do it with just one of their stacks, and they lost the battle, because of course they did. Why would you do it that way? Skaven. Not exactly strategic geniuses. One thing that you always have to be aware of when taking sides in an AI versus AI conflict is that all AI versus AI battles are resolved with the auto-resolver. They don't play battles out. And so once you've kind of learned the math and the biases of the autoresolver a little bit, you can get a sense for how a war is going to tend to go. And a thing we definitely need to be aware of here is that the autoresolver loves dwarves. It considers dwarven units to be much better than they are. It considered Skaven units mostly to be much worse than they are. So we're probably going to have to do a lot of the lifting in this war over here. All right, Belagar Ironhammer is over here in ambush mode, and apparently we've seen through that despite not being able to see him. If we recruit any kind of melee infantry, we'll get a bonus to our melee infantry levels for a while.
You might be right. Brine for blood.
That's weird. Why isn't it drawing the edge of my movement area? Huh. Weird. I don't know. Well, okay, there we go. I think I want to threaten Xerxil. Because there's no sense in just like fighting their armies in the middle of nowhere. We want to remove their territory, damage their economic base, etc. So let's move over to the edge of the area here. We can't get to Xerxil this turn anyway. And while we're sitting here, let's begin construction on the Bombard building. Len can surge forward and keep an eye on stuff. I'm going to have him try and kill their hero here, provided that everything works out okay. We have an empty slot, and I could build the Peg Street Pawn Shop. I don't know. I really wish I had a better sense of exactly how much money that's going to get us. Or we could just put something else in there. There's nothing wrong with putting together a garrison building. Like if we did this, we'd be adding 7 units to that garrison, so it would have a full army on defense, including, was it 1 unit of mortars? Yeah, a unit of mortars and an awful lot of guns. This is probably an okay thing to use this slot on, considering we have hostiles very nearby. But that's going to require a little bit more money than we currently have.
Yes, the winds blow true.
What else might we want to do? We could take the replenishment rate bonus. We could take an upkeep reduction. Yeah, there's something to be said for that. I don't know that we want any of these recruitment buildings. And this does dramatically increase the rate at which we are spreading vampiric corruption as the army walks around, which is pretty cool. But I guess the thing of greater utility would be even more replenishment rate. You max out at replenishing 50% of the unit's max HP every turn. If we could hit that level, that would be pretty cool. I'd be very excited about that, actually. Now, the dwarves have access to a special movement mode that we don't. They can get underground and use the huge network of underground passages that runs all through the continent to travel quickly, allowing them to bypass mountains and stuff. So we might see some dwarven armies run down here. We might see some dwarven armies just sort of appear in front of us if they detect our intent. Seems like they didn't. All right, well then it is time for Havoc, I think. Please don't sail over here. I don't want to have to turn around and deal with it. Okay, nope, just a bunch of Bretonians running back and forth in the desert for the moment. This desert extremely does not belong to them, by the way. This is Khemri territory. They are unwelcome here. Hopefully we can get a little bit of an assist from the Khemri that are down there in removing them. Okay, I don't know where that... they had a hero in the area, and that hero just kind of disappeared. Where on earth did you go?
Can I help you? I hope.
Well, let's see if you can do some damage. Yeah, maybe harm their garrison structure. Okay, the building was in fact damaged. I have no idea if that has an effect on the garrison or not.
See, Father! Now we're talking!
All right, so we want to go to war with this faction, right? We know somebody who is at war with them already, so I don't think it makes a lot of sense to just declare when we might be able to get something out of it.
This quick fast, I'm busy.
So here's the deal. If I was willing to join your war against Clan Engrund, you would be willing to give me military access plus 600 gold. I consider this a win. I want the military access mostly for additional treaties with Clan Scryer points. And then once we're actually at war with Clan Engrund, we're going to be racking up the approval, like left and right. The goal is to eventually get to defensive alliance, which, first of all, will mean that we can rely on each other's armies in combat, but secondly, will potentially allow us to recruit stuff from their roster, if that's a thing we feel like we want to do. Alright, so we have declared war on Clan Engrund in a sort of roundabout way, succeeding at this objective, earning us some infantry, or some infamy, and some combat bonuses against dwarves.
Praise Manon!
Let us go forth and claim Xeraxil as our own. They're trying to build up an army here. I will not abide it. We could take the auto-resolve and just lose one unit. Or we could try to manual this for a better result. You know, honestly, so they have 3 units of crossbows. What does the terrain look like? They do have a proper settlement dug into the mountain here. I think I'm going to take the just lose one unit outcome. That's not bad at all. Get some melee defense and some regeneration on these guys. I guess magical attacks. Sure. Okay. Oh, apparently those equipment, those banner equips improved our battle chances enough that we no longer lose the unit to the auto-resolve.
The tides rise.
That's cool. That's why it's important to make sure you do that kind of stuff. That's a lot of damage to the army overall. We managed to steal a sword of battle, which is like the most generic kind of sword you could find. And also a fair amount of gold. And we could just burn this shit down. Do I want Xeraxil? Not really, right? And I wouldn't be upset if the Skaven took it. I am, in fact, going to just burn it to the ground for the infamy plus the large amount of money.
I want it bad.
Alright, killed a couple of dwarven characters, got a weapon, which is fine. Her weapon slot was empty before. Ah, and she leveled up enough to get herself access to a mount. We also discovered a treasure map. Not all wonders are created by the gods themselves. Some are mortal creations, wherein lies what you seek. Well, that's kind of inconvenient to reach. Sorry, I'm trying to select this army.
Ready
As you can see, we have a skill here that she takes automatically as soon as you hit the level, which puts her on the back of a giant undead crab. I think that's fine. We're allowed to dismount her from the crab, but I think that's reasonable. And then we have access to a bunch of special things here. Well, I gotta tell you, I do love campaign movement range plus 8%. That feels like the one we're gonna take. This gives her an even greater bonus versus large. Arsonist improves the melee attack and missile strength of some important kinds of units. Let's start with Smuggler for the campaign movement range. And then this army is in kind of rough shape. We got to get back to friendly territory quickly. The dwarves are going to be very upset about the thing that we just did. So we made a huge amount of money there. We're going to pursue some upgrades. We're definitely going to start building up defenses. If I upgrade this, how much extra money does it produce? Not really that much. The most important thing is getting another level on this structure so that we can unlock some more building slots. Which means I probably don't want to pursue improvements to these two things because the entire province shares a growth pool. We want to make sure this gets to 4. But yeah, we can pursue an upgrade to our income generator. I don't think that's unreasonable. I do want to be able to recruit more gunnery wights. And same deal here, upgrades to the money-producing buildings are almost always going to be worth it. All right. Let's see how the dwarves respond to that. My suspicion is they're going to be grumpy. Ah, we discovered an undercity in Rifrafa. That means there are Skaven down there. I'm not sure. If we're trying to be friends with the Skaven player, we probably don't want to damage their undercity. I'm not really sure how the mechanics of that work. It's probably cool. It's probably fine. What is this? Is this a Norskin faction? That could be a problem. Wow, it feels like a medium-term concern. I want to make sure we get rid of these dwarves right now because due to the fact that the auto-resolver really likes dwarf armies, dwarves can kind of roll out of control if they're allowed to survive long enough. I think it's a good idea we clear out the dwarves that are on our border while they're still small. A shrewd program of stockpiling across your provinces has literally borne fruit. Food stores are bountifully abundant. Plus 10 growth everywhere. Cool.
Fear the pirate queen.
And I'm a little surprised to see that the dwarves didn't bring any armies down here to challenge us.
Salt spite is here.
So we're gonna run home real quick just to get some replenishment going. Len is gonna run up here and get us some intel, hopefully. Where the hell are all the dwarves? So they're at war with us and our Skaven friends and a Wood Elf faction. The territory of the Wood Elf will be like up here in this area. No, sorry, this area. You can see there's like sort of a magical forest in this little canyon over here. And the Wood Elves also can move through mountains. So the dwarves do have to like watch their back whenever they march armies south. That could come in very, very handy. Is there anybody out here who likes me even a little bit who I might be able to set up trade with? Nope. Okay. We have trade with everybody we're getting trade with. And we're making a pretty decent amount of money per turn. I guess let's pursue that upgrade, but I probably want to just sit back for a second here.
The tides.
So next turn, we can
Sartosa's most infamous.
we can do some recruitment here and actually grab some ogres if we want to replace some of our damaged units. Also, notice the big chunks of yellow. Look at how good we're doing on replenishment already. Very pleased about that. So yeah, we just need to keep an eye on incoming dwarves with our scout and try our best to grab them when they are out of position. If we were to reach a state of proper alliance with the Skaven, if we do make it to a defensive alliance, we'll be able to coordinate with them a little bit. We'll be able to ask them to attack specific spots and stuff. Although, in my experience, not hugely reliable, all that. And we know the dwarves are going to suffer badly in our territory. But oof. Gosh, they sure have a lot of troops. Okay, looks like the Kebri are trying, at least, to put a little bit of pressure on the Bretonnians. Doesn't seem to be working yet. The Kemri do eventually have access to some pretty impressive stuff, but in the early parts of the game, their like basic units are very weak. Okay, we finished that tech, got ourselves a Seascape Artist follower. Let's go to Aranessa's ancillaries here and equip that follower to this army. Definitely cool. Okay. Yeah, we do not have a lot of gear right now, so she still has an armor and an enchanted item slot that are just sitting empty. We'll do something about it eventually.
We're shipshape.
Okay, so they are bringing 2 more armies down here pretty aggressively. Let's see if we can hinder replenishment on this force. Not quite. It's tough.
Do you take me for a wazzock?
So you have the movement to attack Miragliano. How long does it take to recruit those ogres? 4 turns to recruit the man-eaters. And, okay, the other ones, the man-eaters with the ogre pistols, are the same. So you can see these units have pretty good base stats, 41 attack, 43 defense. They're not heavily armored, but they hit really hard. And it's worth noting they have a 50-point charge bonus. So ogres are like 10 feet tall and incredibly massive. And what you're supposed to do with them is just sort of like use them as a wrecking ball, more or less. You just get the enemy to commit, get your troops to hold the enemy in place, and then your ogres charge in from behind, bull through them, and just massacre them with massive charge bonus. A little bit like slow cavalry, but 2 or 3 times as massive as a guy on a horse. 4 turns is really harsh, and they're like 2,000 to 3,000 gold each to recruit. Which is not really a thing we can do. Aranessa only takes a single turn to recruit a mortar unit. That's interesting.
No, I will not shame my clan.
But I'm wondering if the thing we should do right now is just step out in front of the settlement. We still replenish pretty well outside.
The trap is set.
And just try to set an ambush and see if he misses us. If he's foolish enough to wander into it and we get to jump him close range, we will definitely tear him apart. Just like start all of our rifles at optimal range and just barrage them. And he doesn't have a lot of time to screw around. It'll be a couple of turns before these other forces are close enough to really like complicate things for us. So I think this is where we're going. This is how we are doing for the moment. All right, all of those upgrades are getting pursued. I guess it's important we do this as well. Sadly, we can't recruit new units or do any upgrades to Aranessa's buildings while we're in ambush mode. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see if they go for it. They'll probably just see through the ambush and then choose not to engage. Okay, Clan Scryer is starting to send some troops over here. They have not seen through the ambush. Oh, they have to move into the red circular area to get ambushed. But that army's out by itself and should be plenty vulnerable to just a normal attack. And then maybe we can pursue some, upgrading some of our troop slots to more superior things. A great engagement. A major naval battle has ended, leaving hundreds dead on each side. Death is no barrier to continued service, as you well know. Those who fell in battle would make fine new recruits. If we make haste and head off at full sail, the perished could be reanimated before they're lost to the ocean. We must decide if this boon is worth the toll it would take. Should we make haste or just ignore the battle? So all of our armies would basically be really tired, but +5 recruit rank for all infantry units for 10 turns, or just ignore it and get movement and line of sight bonuses. I mean, I certainly was talking about just now doing a little bit of recruiting. Ogres are our infantry. They are monstrous infantry. So I think they would benefit from this. Let's see. I'm gonna try it. We should make haste for the site. These veteran sailors must be made part of our crew. Okay. Clan Scryer has performed the Scheme of Doom, which has summoned a special warlock engineer. This fella here, the Doom engineer, he can cause a powerful earthquake to fuck up enemy settlements. Pete Wakefield is ready to be rehired. And my army's at basically full health. This army's in terrible shape. We should be able to just crush them. How dare they stand around and raid my territory? Alright. They know we're going to kill them, so they'll try to retreat. You can fall back once per turn. That is definitely not going to stop me from catching you.
Make them fish food.
And then we make them fish food. No reason really to go for a manual victory here. Okay, we stole a trickster's helm. That's actually a really nice piece of armor. 10% flat damage reduction plus melee defense. So we could take a little bit of replenishment for the army, or we could ransom them back for like 1,200 gold. That's definitely the move.
I am not feeding this.
We are desperate for cash pretty much always. Yep, she's going to equip that immediately. And we stole a treasure map from them. The world is blighted with these monuments to fear. The sightless eyes and leering grin conceal riches held within. Yep, okay, we'll go dig around in a skull later. I'm trying to get the camera back over here. There we go.
I will not disgrace.
You should go do something over here. Just go get some XP. All right, true coin flip. He's got all the way up to 50%. You know, it's just sad. It's just sad is what it is. Okay, so Forger is not terribly powerful. These are all like sort of different aspects of her behavior that we want to encourage. I do love an arsonist. Okay, so we can make it back to Miragliano, where we can start some recruitment. The question is, what do we want to drop? Yep, we would be summoning the ogres in at rank 6, which is very exciting. So, like, if we recruit 2 units of man-eaters with ogre pistols, and then, like, a couple units of mortars, I think that's pretty solid. Let's kick out... Honestly, we probably don't need these bombers. The bombers are not that good. All right, so we'll go big for a couple units of ogres, and then I can start recruiting a mortar right now, and we can recruit more later. These animated hulks are probably not really part of our game plan. We'll do that for now. That's basically all of our money. We're going to be sitting here in town for a minute, but I think it's worth it. Oh, you can see over here there was some kind of great battle. The Battle of Carrick Izor on turn 24, in which there were 1,682 casualties. So there could be some really cool stuff in that raised dead pool, potentially. And it's right in place for us to come over here and attack the dwarves with whatever it is that's buried in that ground.
My ship.
Okay, it's going to be 6 more turns before we have the population to pursue this upgrade. We can definitely make sure we have the gold on hand when that hits. The other thing we want to make sure we're doing is upgrading this soon. We want to make sure that that's at the maximum level it can be at, so that if the Bretonnians do sail across the sea, we have a little bit of time to react. And yeah, overall, I think I'm pretty okay with the way this army is shaping up for the moment. This is kind of what I figured. They're going to run that Doom Engineer over to Carrick Bufdar or Carrick Izor and Earthquake it real bad. The Earthquake will lower the level of the main settlement structure, and I believe also damage all of the buildings within. It's more of an annoyance than anything, but it does mean, you know, it takes your stuff offline for a turn or two, and it costs a bunch of money to fix. It's not meaningless, but it's not as powerful as you might think from a name like Doom Warlock. All right, capture and occupy Carrick Bufdar within 6 turns for some gold and some more infamy. I mean, listen, we'll see. That's probably not happening, honestly.
I think not.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to take this over. I think what I want to do is burn it to the ground and then let the Skaven fill it in.
I'm no mermaid.
All right. How are we doing with the other Warlock faction? They like that, or the other Ogre faction, rather. They like that we're at war with Clan Engrund, but not like a huge amount. It sort of tickles their fancy, just gently. What does this upgrade cost? 3,600. Man, why has everything got to be so expensive? Hold on. Improved tower projectiles, caged bats. Are we shooting caged bats at our enemies? How does that make sense as a strategy? Okay, we can pursue another upgrade here. I think I'm gonna fire one of the units of deck droppers so that we can get another mortar in here. And then I think that's maybe how we'll leave that army. Or do I want to... No, I don't want to spend any more time on Ogre recruitment than we're already doing. And I know we could fire our lower level gunners and bring in... just rehire gunnery mobs again at a higher level. Maybe it's worth it, but I don't really want to spend the gold. These things are going to max out anyway. I'm not too stressed about it. Oh, you know what we should do, though? We have the ability to hire a vampire fleet captain who can cast spells. We can add some magic to the army. Alternatively, we could hire one to just sort of like sail around the world and establish pirate coves. That might be better. Yeah, as much as we could use the help. I guess let's hire Wendy Nutt here, who has a natural boost to action success chance, to sail around the world and get into trouble starting up new pirate coves. She comes in with 0 movement, but on future turns we'll be able to sail around and just kind of like just try to establish an economic base in cities all over the world. That'll be an important thing eventually. We can also have Aranessa herself improve some buildings, if that's a thing that makes sense to do. This upgrade's probably worth pursuing early. It'll save us quite a lot of money over time. And you, I think we probably don't have enough money to ask you to do anything. Yeah. Okay. Just hang out. We'll give you orders again next turn. So I would like to recruit a gunnery wight and also another caster, because like our army should have a wizard. It is always a good idea to have access to some magic. Icket Claw's taking a pretty aggressive forward position here. I don't know if he's planning on like actually attacking. We're not quite ready to go yet though. If he runs up there by himself, he's going to get absolutely massacred. I don't even know what units are in this army, but I know they're not good enough. We have managed to catch Belagar before he has really gotten access to the higher tier dwarf stuff, though, it looks like. All of his units have been pretty basic. And if we keep pressing him, we may be able to prevent him from researching any real weapons. So, yeah, missile strength up for our gunnery mobs. And we've unlocked the Curse of the Queen's Cannon, because our lord hit level 12, I guess. Legend has it that Harkon himself captured the Hellhammer, which provided this brutal piece of artillery. They say Bess is cursed, or more rightly, those victims caught in her crosshairs are the real cursed ones. So, what this allows us to do is pay 1,000 gold to put a Queen Bess super cannon into the recruitment pool, and then for 10 turns all of our armies have crazy replenishment, you know, like they already we're basically maxed out on replenishment already. I'm gonna go ahead and perform that right. I would like the biggest cannon, the world's biggest cannon. So I think what we're gonna do here is probably cut down. We have a lot of guns. You know what, let's drop you.
See, Father!
The Queen Bess is free to recruit, but does have an upkeep cost. Also, I should be able to recruit a gunnery wight from Aranessa's buildings, right? Yes, we have room for one in the army. So, Jimbo Brown has melee stats that are probably not super relevant. Pete the Bloated has a big leadership boost for himself and a small leadership boost for everybody else in the army. That's not too bad. And Charlie the Drowned has a bigger leadership aura. So I don't know if you noticed, but in battle, whenever we select a character, the character has a big circle around them. Within that circle, they give bonus leadership to all of your non-character units. Your normal troops fight better when they have a charismatic leader. Charlie the Drowned might actually be the winner here. His leadership aura is better, is bigger, and it's more effective. Charlie and his dark majesty.
Gunnery white.
Scales and salt!
And then we've got to make one more slot, because the gunnery wight's going in the army, and then we also want a Queen Bess. We probably have too much Sartosan militia, honestly.
Sartosa's most infamous!
We're not going to recruit the Queen Bess just yet. We're going to wait until it's actually time to move, so we don't have to pay the upkeep any longer than necessary. But that'll be good once we get that going. Here we'll just give Aranessa her bonus versus large. We're going to grab all of these skills before we... Well, actually, hold on. Am I? We're not going to need bonus versus large against the dwarves, probably. Nor this, most likely. We do have access to her personal upgrade line up here as well now. So perfect vigor means she never ever gets tired. We haven't talked about vigor and tiredness yet, but most units, they tire over the course of a battle, and as they do, their stats begin to suffer. Having perfect vigor is actually a pretty big deal. And then eventually we can improve her soffish peg legs. Get a bonus to your various crabs and Sartosan units. Gain a bonus to both replenishment rate and movement range. Very exciting. And learn how to use some great big cannons. So as long as we keep upgrading her ship, we're going to get access to some cannon fire that we can call in battles where she is the fighting army. And once we get a couple of skill points there, we get increased plunder from encounters at sea. And yeah, all of this stuff is great. Man, she's very powerful. She's a very good unit. I think Poacher and Forger are both going to be less valuable to us in the short term than pursuing these upgrades. So let's get this this personal Aranessa line going.
Yes, sir.
All right, Wendy is ready to sail out and start some trouble. I think we're going to sail north.
Get going, scum.
So I'm going to go around the cape here, and we'll meet people. We'll try to make trade agreements with them. Anybody who has a port should be available to trade with us, and we'll start installing some pirate underworlds where we can.
I'm no mermaid.
Still waiting 2 turns here.
The tides.
Do we want to pursue any other ship buildings? I mean, we could start building out the dart launchers, of course.
Grind for blood.
Yeah, and I think we have upkeep time. Missile strength up for our cannons is a lot more meaningful now that we actually have some cannons. And we've unlocked all of this firepower stuff. So what do we want most? Missile strength up for mortars and stuff. Upkeep down. This is missile strength for a much larger selection of our units. Grants throwing bombs banner to your faction. Huh. We're not going to be getting into a lot of battles where our ammunition is a problem yet. We're just not fighting large enough numbers of troops. Armor piercing missile damage plus 20%. Wow. Yeah, we probably want to pick this up. We're going to be firing at some very heavily armored enemies in the very near future. Percussion caps give us some extra damage. Grants the powder monkey follower to your faction, increasing armor-piercing missile damage even further for the units in that one army. It is a literal powder monkey. Recruit rank up for your siege stuff. Ooh. A range bonus is one of the most valuable damage increasers you could get. And it increases, like basically our safety. Let's go Master Gunner. Right now, we only have one army, so plus 15% range to that army is better than plus 10% across the whole faction. But obviously, we'll be pursuing both of those pretty soon. And you can do something. You can harass somebody. Hey, he did it. He damaged a building. He very, very slightly set back their economy. Mostly we're just leveling him up. Obviously we're improving the skills with the skill points, but also the heroes just raw level is a really important part of the success calculations. So the best thing we can do is just gain levels as fast as possible. All right. Let's do one more turn here because I want to make sure that I fold these armies together. I want to make sure I don't forget to do stuff or fold this unit into this army and stuff. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it's not super pleasant for the Skaven to move through our territory. They're definitely suffering vampiric attrition as well. Sorry, guys. We didn't mean it. Just, the troops are hungry. Interesting. Why did Belagar just, step out of the settlement like that? He's gone into encampment mode, which... I don't know. Weird. Sometimes the AI does baffling things,
The blessings imbued into your weapon, Kraken's Bane, are weakening, mistress. It is clear your father, Lord Manan, is in need of your assistance.
Oh, okay. A band of Norscan raiders have declared war upon Manan himself in the name of their chaos gods, slaughtering innocent creatures of the sea. How dare they? The raiding parties are under orders from their skilled chieftain, who claims that the Queen of Tides is his daughter, who he'd thought dead. He had thrown Aranessa into the ocean as a baby, believing she would attract the ire of the dark gods due to the mutations she bore. The skilled chieftain mobilized his fleet as soon as he learned that Aranessa was still alive, believing that by murdering as many sea creatures as possible, he could prove his rejection of her before the gods. The Queen of Tides, favored by Manan, will ensure both she and the sea god have their revenge. Okay, so if we come up here and we murder a bunch of Norscan to protect the creatures of the sea, we'll get a pretty sick weapon. This is a very, very good weapon. We will also get a regiment of renown that we can hire, and that's a very exciting one, and also a bunch of infamy. And we're looking at a bunch of marauders, some feral mammoths, a Norscan giant, and also probably other stuff. Okay, well, that's definitely going to be a concern at some point in the not too distant future. But you know, right now we're kind of working on things. All right, fold you into this army, let you start trading the units up, and I'm going to go ahead and recruit the cannon now, and we're going to pay 340 upkeep that I don't necessarily have to pay, again, because I am worried that I will forget. Well, you know what? We can just save at the beginning of the next turn. Let's go ahead and push through here. I don't think we're going to do all that much this turn.
Plunder! A done deal.
We could upgrade some of her stuff. Yeah, you know what? Even more movement range. Seems like a winner. You can just keep fucking up their buildings. Getting better and better. Alright, max out specialist. And
Yes, fleet commander.
a little bit more sailing here. Another thing we can do is we can actually have Wendy, I believe, we can have Wendy dig for treasure. So we can sail her out to the points that the treasure maps point to. Okay, so from this point,
My ship.
we should be able to save. Yeah, it's going to take 3 turns before we're ready to, before we have the population to do the pirate layer increase. We still don't have the good barricades here. We have a 19-unit garrison, and it does have a mortar and some guns. I guess it's fine for the moment. Yeah, it's enough to keep the Bretonnians at bay, I guess. All right, so let's go one more turn. That Disciples of the Maw, the ogre faction over here that controls that one settlement, I noticed the balance of power bar is extremely red with them. Apparently, they're very powerful. So let's tread carefully about that, shall we? Okay, he moved just over the line and is now raiding them. So he's reducing their gold income and taking it for himself. And the dwarves are surging forward to punish him. Alright, he falls back. It looked to me like they probably can't pursue. Belagar Ironhammer used a lot of movement, getting into position to reinforce. And that leaves Fimber Granite Hand just reinforcing, just mustering directly on the edge of my territory. Oh, I bet we can reach that guy. I think we're gonna claim ourselves a free army there. The Bretonnians continue to just sort of mill back and forth for whatever reason. Who among us can understand a Bretonnian, I ask you? Okay, so
The
I am going to recruit the Queen Bess, completing this army for the moment. All regiments of renown come into your army at rank 9. You can see this thing has 450 range. It strikes for 260 great big explosive damage. It dramatically reduces the impact of the struck units. Most of the damage pierces armor. Yeah, it's just a big, terrifying, super long range cannon. Doesn't have a lot of shots in it, but if you have a gunnery wight, they can certainly help with that. And yep, we certainly do have the movement range to come up here and crush this dwarf army for attempting to recruit basically in my lands, more or less. We are going to do some serious harm. Next time. Not right now, obviously. The episode's very long already. It's so easy. It's so easy to get sucked into, okay, well, I'll finish this one more thing, and then that one more thing, and then that one more thing. But I really got to stop. This is where we are calling it here for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you return next time, we are going to do a little bit of live weapons testing on these dwarves, and I am very excited about the prospect. And we'll see you then.